dragons, spirits, ancient histories that are yet to be discovered, pacts with gods, and a goat. If you like any of those things, you should probably come check out the Broadswords. We are a non-binary and all-women podcast that play a little bit of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. And let me tell you, there are not a lot of dice that are rolled, but there are a lot of shenanigans to be had. You can find us at thebroadswords.com or listen to us wherever your podcasts are cast.
You know things, I know some too. Sit right down, the femsplain them to you. If there's a thing you want to explain, these two feminists can entertain. Nerdy stuff, sexy stuff, so much to know. Tune in for the Femsplain Show.
Good morning, listeners.
Good morning, listeners, and good morning, Diana, and good morning, B.
Good morning.
It is, of course, mandatory to listen to this podcast in the morning.
Correct.
If you listen to it in the afternoon or evening, we will find out. We will know.
Mm-hmm. Is morning subjective to the person? Like, say I woke up at 4 in the afternoon, but that's my morning.
Yes,
Cool.
we count those.
That counts,
We
yeah,
count
for
those
sure.
as mornings, yes. Welcome to Femsplained. Femsplained is a nerds only. What did we say last time?
I think we said it's our
I think we
queer
said
nerd podcast.
Queer nerd podcast.
We've lost our preamble.
The preamble to Femsplained has changed so many times.
Yes. It always gets
and
better and shorter, which is
it does.
good.
Which what you just heard was definitely what we're calling better. So, welcome to Femsplained. Avalon, before we get started, what has nerd culture done for you lately?
You jumped into that so fast.
I did. I like to keep you on your toes. Tell me what you're up to.
I've been watching tons of Deep Space Nine since Sam's
Ooh.
episode still.
Yeah.
This is my second watch through, and I am liking it significantly more.
Oh, cool.
When did you watch it the first time? Like, were you significantly younger? Do you find that you're just appreciating it more now?
You know what? It was within the last maybe 3 years, and mostly it was that my partner was watching it, and sometimes it would be on during meals, but I wasn't invested in it, so I was passively watching it, and I was missing some character arcs and moments and things like that, which is kind of nice with shows from the 90s where you don't have to commit to seeing absolutely everything, and you get it. But I'm certainly feeling more invested in the characters, and yeah. So
I like that. I'm really glad that you're sticking with it because I rarely stick to any of our homework topics. It's like very, very, very rarely.
Do you start them and then just drop them?
Yeah, a lot of times I start them, I drop them. Sometimes I come back to them later. Okay. And then, things like that.
Well, I think the spirit of the homework is for you to get like a sampler of a thing, some exposure to it, to see if you like it. But I think, like, for instance, one of the episodes we did was Supernatural, and I can't expect Diana to watch all 420 episodes.
Oh, only 400? Gosh.
I mean, you still did want me to
I'm
watch
still
all
disappointed,
400
yeah.
episodes.
I mean, you did Critical Role, and I...
Oh, wow. I am impressed.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And I did it.
You did. You caught up before the finale to campaign 1, like within like 2 months.
That is impressive. That is dedication.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, I didn't read or watch or listen to anything else
you
during
can't.
that time. For sure. And also, here's the thing. It became my gym listening thing. So I ended up getting like pretty fit just while I was listening to it, and then like went back to normal.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
You could blame Matt Mercer for
I do.
for
I
all
always
of
do.
that. Yeah.
All right. So I don't know. Deep Space Nine, I've been doing a lot of those little pixel commissions, and
Oh yeah.
that feels like it.
Yeah, that feels pretty good.
What about you?
For me, my update on my Stardew Valley farm. I don't know my updo. My Stardew Valley farm life is going fantastically, except for the fact that my in-game dead grandfather's ghost left me a note in the sewers.
Nice.
I find that very upsetting.
Yeah.
I was very upset to learn that he's coming back way sooner than I thought to judge my farm. I don't feel ready for that. And I don't like that he's going to come right after winter's over.
You don't
when there's going to be like
anything to
nothing.
show.
Yeah.
Dead
yeah,
crops.
I'm a little upset. So I'm dealing with that emotionally. There's that. Last night, Marty and I had our Jackbox stream, and Monica came. And
Real life friend Monica.
Real life friend Monica showed up, which is always like a little bit interesting when like worlds collide and like you have a person who doesn't engage with the internet come and join an internet space with you. It was very fun, but it turned into a lesson about copyright law because Monica got a letter from got a letter because she made a farm, like a photography website about that pictures of plants she was taking, called brooklyngrange.com. And this agriculture company called the Grange of the Husbandry or something like that.
That's a hell of a name.
I know. Sent her a letter. And in just the magic ways of the internet, Gnome, the game you were all playing last night, raided us, and somebody in your raid happened to be a lawyer and gave us all a lesson about what this whole situation was, taught us what to do, and gave Monica like a bunch of advice while we were like making poop jokes about like in the Jackbox games that we were playing. So it was just like a remarkable, like, just the randomness of the internet like coming together and like in such like a weirdly beautiful and confusing way. Also taught us, because when we heard like the Grange of the Husbandry or whatever, and found out that it was like we were assuming like this was something like conservative and weird, and it turns out it's just an agricultural like non-profit. It's not anything. It's not anything weird or problematic. So we learned a lot.
Wow.
And that was, I think, a very interesting, slightly nerdy, slightly weird, just slightly internet culture-y experience, and I really enjoyed it.
I love that. That's very funny.
Yeah. B, has anything filled your nerdy cup recently? Had any good nerd experiences that you'd like to share before we jump into any topics?
Yes and no. 'Cause like all I do is nerd stuff. I wake up and it's nerd stuff, and I get off work and it's still nerd stuff, and my hobbies are very nerdy, and then I go to sleep listening to like Studio Ghibli, and it's you know.
you got nerd 7 to 7 nerd whole time,
right?
Absolutely.
If I had to pick something, though, it would be the new anime that I started watching, Jujutsu Kaisen, only because I have come to a very solid realization that I like a very specific type of character, and it's the teachers who often hate work. And they don't do anything, and they're very helpful, and they're very lighthearted, and they have a really weird quirk, but it's always the teacher tropes, and I love them so much. And I didn't know that about myself.
Huh.
Oh, I like that. What was it called again?
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Cool.
I might have to
Okay.
write it in words, yeah.
Yeah. Is it a new show, or is it new to you? It's brand new.
The last episode of the season ended yesterday.
Okay, so it's pretty current.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the word
wow.
I was looking for, current.
I'm used to
well, that's
consuming my
awesome.
anime like 5 to 10 years after.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I have, that's been like one of the things that I've wanted to start like exploring a little bit more, that I haven't, and I've always found it weird because so many people in my life are big into anime, and I just have never explored it very much. And then like I have that one random anime that nobody I know has ever watched or heard of.
What is it?
That I do like? Kino no Tabi.
Dang it.
The
No, I don't know
original,
it.
not the new one.
Why have we not ever talked about it?
I don't know. Are you
Alright.
sure we've never talked about it?
Positive. That's a very obvious episode theme.
I should talk
Yeah.
about it sometime. But it does make me feel like, first of all, I really love it. B, have you watched it?
No, I'm looking it up right now.
So it is a very episodic. There is like a meta plot, a little arc, but it's not necessary that you consume the entire series to get it. But it tells the story of an extremely androgynous young girl who like runs away from her family, who like kind of like forced her to kind of be very feminine, and she runs away and buys a suit and gets a talking motorcycle, and her talking motorcycle Hermes travel the world and go to different countries that all have these really, really different reimagined cultures that don't look anything like any place we've ever seen on Earth. So like she goes to one place that's like all animatronic, like everything there is robots, and all the humans have either disappeared or died, and like all the robots just still continue like living a life. And there are like other different places that she goes to and explores, and they in the end it's usually just, there's no like conflict. Usually it's usually just them learning about this new place.
We
and
call
like
that slice of life anime.
Yes. Very much so. And then you do like along the way learn little bits about her backstory and why she chose this life over like staying home and things like that. But it's really funny and like quippy and sarcastic and then like surprisingly sweet. They rebooted it and they made her a little bit sexy, which is like a little weird to me. And I haven't really gotten very far into the new one because that just doesn't seem to sit right with me. But I'm hearing that it's not that bad. It's just like the art style is a little bit different. But I haven't really tested that theory myself yet. But yeah, Kino no Tabi, the original, if you can watch it.
Yeah, I have it pulled up right now, so we'll see.
Yeah, I really like it.
No,
And
I like
Avalon,
that.
we can definitely talk about it more.
Holding out on me.
I know.
No,
I do.
it sounds really cool.
It is really cool. So, as mentioned, we have talked about some things tangential to this topic before in episodes. Our very first episode, which you should never listen to because it's bad, was about D&D. We did not know how to podcast.
No.
We didn't know how to talk to each other.
No.
It was very
I desperately want to hear that. Everybody's first episode, like Broadswords, is awful. I was using my microphone backwards.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
I was using my microphone backwards until 2 episodes ago.
Avalon!
It may still be sideways.
We'll never know. We'll never know.
The big error that we made with our first D&D episode is we didn't do a Zoom. We just did like an audio phone call. And so we could not read each other's cues if the other person was about to start talking. So it was just like so much awkward interruption.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm afraid to go back and listen to it. I keep thinking like one day I might just like take it down.
No.
No, but I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
I would
It's
never
posterity.
do that.
It's memories.
Exactly.
memories.
It's where we came from.
Yes.
So we've talked about D&D in an episode. And then we did an episode about other TTRPGs, but we mostly talked a lot about World of Darkness, games, and and other RPGs that are not D&D, but that are still pretty big.
Yeah.
So we haven't really gotten into the topic, frankly, because I feel still very, very new to this world of indie TTRPGs. And I think that to me, you are someone who I look to as someone who's very just very experienced and very immersed in it. And you have weirdly introduced me to lots of indie TTRPGs just by your engagement and your actual plays and all of that stuff. So, the floor is yours. If you want to talk about your favorites, your least favorites, your experiences with them, I just want to hear everything.
Oh gosh. Okay.
No.
Well, you think right? That's a lot just all at once. It's like a pressure on my chest. Indie TTRPGs. Heck. Okay. So I mean, I do a lot of them. There are a lot of really cool ones. It all depends on like what you want.
I just, based on feedback that we've gotten recently, would love it if we could define TTRPG for a listener who may just have absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
We always forget to do
I
that.
do.
Yes.
I always forget to do that, and I've had people ask me
Okay.
to.
I like that. Yeah, so tabletop role-playing games. Traditionally, people think of Dungeons and Dragons because it's people sitting at a table rolling dice. However, that same formula can be reimagined in an online space. It's just a group of people getting together to tell stories together. That's my iteration. Dice don't even have to be around. I love games without dice. I have an excess of dice, but like if I don't have to roll dice, we are golden.
Wow. Yeah. There and like different types of mechanics also exist, which is like I'm still very new to discovering all the different types of ways mechanics are being introduced besides dice, like cards, having like numbered lists, things like that. Like there are different ones that I've recently become aware of, which I think is very cool.
There's a genre, it's indie still. It's called Firebrands. I think that was like the original game and very list-like. So you basically, I've never played it in person, so I imagine if you had a physical copy of it, it'd be like this nice little booklet that has acts. Maybe something like 10 acts. You only ever play through about 2 to 4 of them. And it's just you are role-playing scenarios to tell a story together. And you pick certain acts, like is the one where you're all racing on the roads to get somewhere important and then somebody trips and falls. Do you save them? Or there's like a romantic dinner party. What do you wear? Do you hold hands with your guests that you've invited? Just really silly things that, right? And there's some really good romance ones that I love a lot. It's just like, it's the formula of storytelling that I really enjoyed. And then, like, people have taken that template of Firebrands and they've moved it to something a little bit vaster. I got to play a game called Our Traveling Home, I think it's called.
Okay.
I did a whole podcast, which was wonderful because it was just us basically role-playing Howl's Moving Castle.
I was going to ask. That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
So much fun. But, like, it's not meant to be... You're not fighting anything. You're just resolving conflicts within yourselves, and you often start off with a certain amount of trauma, be it like you didn't have a lot of friends, or people didn't recognize your great powers, or you're just a child who just wants to hang out with somebody. And then we all come together in this home, and we have to work together with our weird conflicts. Like one of the players just was playing a house, an entire house. I played a shambling... I think I was like more of a shambling mound. I might have become a person afterwards. I don't really recall. You have to listen to it.
Is that where would we find that podcast?
Oh.
Is that on the Broadswords or is that something?
That would be on my network show, One Shot Podcast.
Okay.
Really, really cool.
All right, great. That's awesome. I think that it's one of like the very, maybe the hardest roadblock to getting past like the D&D mindset into the TTRPG like sphere at large is realizing that conflict does not have to mean combat. Like to have any sort of story with you need some sort of conflict, or, you know, a lot of times you might want one, but it doesn't always have to mean that the central like point or focus of the game is coming to any sort of combat scenario. And like you just right off the bat like described like games without that, which I think is like, I don't know, it opens up so many other doors.
I love
storytelling.
games without combat. Another show I got to do on the One Shot podcast was Human Names. Patrick Rothfuss, he's an author. He's written some books that are okay. I don't love them. I have read them. He's
That's
apologized
so
for the parts
validated.
that are
I'm
bad
with you.
on them. It was okay. But he designed an entire system around his books, like in the universe there. And all you need are 2 coins.
Oh.
And I hecking loved it. Truth be told, I don't remember using the coins a lot, but I know they were important.
Yeah.
And
Coins,
again, no battling. We were just like Scooby-Doo mystery hunters trying to solve a haunted house mystery.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So was that by design, do you think, or was that like the invention of you and the players at the table to kind of not have combat? Like, was that something that felt like it came naturally from the game?
I think so.
Yeah.
If memory serves, I don't even know if there's a lot of combat in those books.
I don't think there is. I think there's
Right.
like a weird chunk of one of the books where suddenly combat is a thing, but I think generally
Yeah.
speaking it's more navigating social situations.
Right.
And using the powers that you have, be they
Yeah.
magical or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun. I was a little nerdy kid. I think I had magic. Yeah, we all had some kind of magic because we were in a magic school. Okay, it's all coming back to me
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
Magic was definitely important. I just remember I got to hold hands with somebody, and that was nice.
Oh.
Aw, that is nice.
I have very simple goals when I play my games. I just like, I want somebody to be my friend, and I want to hold their hand.
Yeah.
You know? Like, keep it simple.
Yeah. We were just talking about that beforehand. Francis was trying to recommend video games to me, and I was like, stop recommending games to me unless
Romance?
I can marry someone or have a best friend, and both of those people have to be monsters.
So,
those two things.
do you play a lot of Monster Prom?
Yes.
Yes! Okay! Oh, gosh. Because I
Oh
get
my
my fix
gosh.
there. Monster Prom and Monster Camp. Again, indie
Yeah.
games, a lot of fun. And I don't want to fight. I just want a romance. I want to be your friend. Tell me about your weird hobbies, please.
Yes, totally. Exactly. Okay, so like I feel like I could probably, if I thought real hard, I could think of games I've seen you play on actual plays. But have you played any indie TTRPGs recently that were very fun, or that you are like, I want to play it again, or that you just like want to go back into?
Pasión de las Pasiones.
That sounded so cool.
It is an
Yeah.
amazing game. Yeah, so it's powered by the Apocalypse system. So 2d6 dice is all you need. Everybody has a playbook, so you're playing a certain character that has very specific moves outlined, and you can pick, I think, 2 out of 4 of them, and that really defines who you are. There's some general character creation that takes like 30 seconds. It's like, what color are your eyes? Do you have cool hair? And then it's very important to me at the beginning of every session, any game that I play, I ask my character to describe how fabulous do you look. That takes up
Right.
a good chunk of time, and then we get into the game.
Right. It's very I haven't played this yet, but this has been on my radar a little bit, and it's very much like it seems like kind of the energy of like a soap opera,
Yes.
drama, lots of intrigue. Oh God, please go on.
Again, yeah, you're not fighting. The conflict comes from within. So I crafted it to be a murder mystery. And so there was conflict immediately. You're invited to this party, and then bam, the lights go off, and the host is dead. Who did it? And they're all at each other's throats, and I love that. They're blaming each other. They're like, well, you come here at night. Clearly it's you. And just based on the moves and everybody, because it got to a point where I could just sit back and let the players yell at each other. But yeah, no, so the end of the game, like, ends up with they all just, like, pulled guns on each other. People got shot. The butler died. And then two of the players who survived stole all the money and left. And that was the game. And that's not at all how I planned. But, like, based on the stories and, like, the conflicts that they told and created within themselves, that's just how it ended up. And I hecking love that. No, at no point were guns necessary to, like, and it was always in the most dramatic moment. I pull a revolver on her from my clutch. It's like, what are you doing with that? Why was that even in your purses? But, like, it's just so perfect. And to be able to play a game like that where it's not just like, I roll to hit, it just makes it fun.
Yes. And it, like, you know, once people start thinking, you know, within the mindset of the game they're playing and get out of the you know, the D&D conflict mindset, it just opens up some new ways of telling stories. You know, I'm not saying that D&D doesn't also allow you to do that, but, like, it kind of opens up more doors, which is very cool. Yeah, I think that game sounds like a absolute delight. It's very much on my list, very high up on my list. So I'm really excited to try that. Actually, somebody brought it up in our chat last night while we were talking about, I think we were talking about True Blood, and somebody brought up possibly playing, like, a game of Passion de la Passions in that universe.
Oh my word.
In the chat. And I thought that sounded like a really fun idea,
It does.
actually.
That would be wonderful if you ever want somebody to help facilitate that, because embarrassingly, I've seen all the seasons of True Blood.
Even the last two, those last really rough.
It got so weird, like unnecessarily weird, and like they were on a good trajectory, and then it's
They
just
were.
like surprise fairies. Like, really?
It's doing fine. I know. Oh my gosh. Avalon, have you like had any on your radar?
I mean, I feel like I have all of them on my radar because I don't have a lot of outlets for playing oftentimes.
yeah.
I do a lot of watching things. And then it seems like anything I play is usually not an indie system.
Right, right.
But I will say that the one we're talking about, Passion, what is it? Say it again.
Pasión de las Pasiones.
Pasión de las Pasiones. Really stood out to me because it is, like, I think really unique. And I'm relatively new to TTRPGs in general. And
Right,
I'm always just totally blown away by the ways in which the wheel is reinvented. And I don't even know where, so this is maybe like a silly sounding thing, but I don't even know where these things come from. Is it just word of mouth that you are finding out about a new exciting game?
That's a good question.
I think because I'm in the space so much, I follow a lot of indie designers. And like when they make games, I'm always looking at them, trying to hype them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm in a unique kind of position as well because I do work with Roll20 where I highlight indie games. So it's kind of like my secondary job to like keep an eye out of like, cool, what is very good right now? And what do I genuinely enjoy? Because it's not everything that's good I enjoy. And that's life.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Because like that's a hard distinction to make sometimes, is that this thing, just because it's not for me doesn't mean that it is not good. It just doesn't fit, you know, what I'm trying to do or what story I want to tell and things like that. And I think that that's beautiful how many like different kinds of games are out there. There's so many.
And I think if you're not in the community, if you're not on Twitter, if you're just somebody who is playing games based on what's in your local bookstore or what you've been exposed to, it's really surprising how much you're missing out on. I was always under the impression that, you know, different play styles were fine, but it was just a matter of how much can you mod D&D to fit what you want.
Yeah.
And that is, you're just seeing such a tiny sliver, I think, of the potential there for storytelling games. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's cool
I
stuff.
have one more indie game that's my absolute favorite.
Which one?
Alice is Missing.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Diana
Silent
ran
RPG.
that for us the other day privately, and it just like is
Destroyed
still
you?
with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think okay. So Alice is Missing. I can't wait to play it again because when I facilitated it like in that private game, it like halfway through the game I feel like I finally understood what was what I was trying to do and what was happening. I think the first half I was a little like I'm missing some things and like some cues and stuff like that. But what the use of atmosphere, of music. Somebody pointed out to me that technically that game is a LARP.
Yeah.
And because you are texting your friends to like go through the story, you're like really acting as though you are these people, these characters, and like you're physically doing the work that they would be doing, the actions that they would be doing. And I thought that was really yeah, I loved Alice is Missing. I think it's so new and different, and like I just want more games to try to go so far outside the box like that and just completely invent something totally new and also make me cry. I would like for more games to intentionally do that.
It destroys you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, depending on whatever endings you get, like how you navigated it, your relationships that you built up over that hour and a half, like,
Do you know I was surprised by that game by who I was texting the most? Like, was not who I thought it would be when we started. Like, that I felt like engaged with characters that I didn't intentionally like tell myself I would in the beginning, which is always a fun thing that surprises me in games, is when it like changes my mind. You know. Oh my god,
and it's
so good.
GM-less. Like, you don't have there's a facilitator, you help facilitate when you play as Charlie, and I really enjoy that. I love GM-less games. I want to play as well. I don't want to just sit back and let you have all the fun.
Yeah, and that's I think probably the biggest leap for me in playing new indie games is playing GM-less games. It triggers my discomfort a lot to not like know exact, like I guess I'm so used to that role of being like, okay, well, if we're at a silence, here is what's happening next, and letting go of that is very like scary and uncomfortable for me, and has been very exciting to try.
I like that. You can definitely be like me, who also plays GM-less games and still doesn't let go of that. If there's a silence, I just talk through it. It works really well.
Good.
Coping,
Yeah, it works well. It works very well in podcasting too. It's like, just fill every silence.
Fill it. I think that it was hard for me to conceptualize that GM-less games could, that it wouldn't just be awkward and stalled. And having played Alice is Missing, I have a new sense of sort of faith in that. But one thing I still can't fully conceptualize the success of is like solo games. Have you played any like one-person indie games?
I have not, because I can't sit down and read a book. I don't think I can sit down and play a game alone. I have mad respect for people who can, though.
That's another thing that's new for me. I was somebody who I've been friends with in this space writes them and introduced me to the concept. And I tried that recently to like put, I'm trying to just go outside of all my boxes. That's something that I've been trying to do with this weird year and more that we've been going through, is just trying new things. And that was one of them. And that surprised me because, like with everything that we've talked about, I was surprised to jump into it and learn that that's also so big. Like, there's not like just one type of solo RPG.
No.
There's like millions. So I was pretty blown away by that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many avenues for it. A friend of mine made a cooking solo game. And I helped her like read over it, and it sounds amazing, but like there are so many things that I need to be able to do alone that I barely do. I'm not a functioning human being, so it's a big ask. What about 2-player games? Have the two of you tried any of those?
Well, I don't know if the game is technically designed specifically to be a 2-player game, but the first time I played Sleepaway, which is a very fun indie game, I played it on a podcast. It's in the NPR podcast network, and I forget what it's called. I'll figure that out later. But the interviewer for that podcast interviews their guest, and then for the last half hour of the podcast, they play a really short one shot of just a random game that she found. And we played Sleepaway in a very like quick, reduced form version of the game. And that also, funny enough, is a GM-less game. Ooh. So that was a pretty fun game to play, like in a really like quick conversational way. Which it just wound up being very improv-y, you know, like when there was, it was very improv.
I like that. Avalon, yeah, how about you?
Yeah, I haven't, but what comes to mind is that Diana and I got to do a session 0 together.
Oh, we
that
did.
felt like a 2-person because
it was.
Because we were the only people who could do a certain time slot of the crew, and then everybody else did a different time slot. So it was just Diana and me and the GM. But I was like the most fun. So
that was the most fun. That was iHunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was like, the rest of that game was fun, but that was most special. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. There's a game that really can only be played in person. That's a 2-player game that I enjoy called Starcrossed. It involves a Jenga tower. Right? So you make your moves, and depending on like if your choice is positive or negative, I think you just always have to pull a thing on your turn, and you role play that. And when your tower crumbles, that is your relationship crumbling. Your star-crossed
my God.
lovers who are truly never meant to be. I cried. It's a 2-player game, and I cried.
That is
punched me.
Genius.
It's
punched
really
me
good.
right in the chest. I don't know what I expected you to say, but it was not that. Oh my God, Starcrossed.
So if you live with another human being, check it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Avalon, are you ready to play that in real life and internalize it too much?
Yeah. I already am. Because no matter who I play with, it's going to fall eventually.
Yeah.
It can't not fall eventually.
Oh gosh. No, it's really good. And like the game can end without the tower collapsing. And that just means you were never able to truly be together.
What?
I
should be rewarded.
Right? I didn't read that part until the end, and that's probably what got me. That's when I was just like, because the first time I played it, the tower didn't fall, and I was just like, but I want us to be together. We made this whole story, and like my character loves your character. Like we're meant to be, and it just nope.
Oh, this person who wrote this game.
Alex Roberts.
So smart.
Oh.
Yeah. Wow. What a great idea.
right?
That is a great idea. I'm mad about
Yeah.
it, but it's great. It's so great. Oh, people are so interesting and just
It's
so
wild.
I know people can be awful sometimes, but the neato things that come up out of people's brains are just so cool. Like that's really genius. And the star-crossed thing, I mean, I guess it fits because star-crossed romances are not really
Happy endings.
the healthiest happy ending ones. They are
Yeah.
oh god. Wow. I cannot believe just knowing about that game made me emotional. Like that's the kind of person that I am.
So yes, you will cry when you play it, much like me.
Yes.
It's hard not to. You get just, I don't know, all of my feelings just got poured into it, and I don't know how that happens, but it does.
Well, you are a person that I think, like us, you really go into your character's brain and I think that some people don't. I think some people are very much, splitting that, and putting a veil up. But if you're really in it in your heart, it's really hard to separate those things. Yeah.
I die at character like NPC deaths. Like I met a character for an hour and I die and I get really emotional. I don't know what it is. And I warn my player, like the players and GMs and everything. Like I'm fine, but I will cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Can I tell us a palate cleanser that I
Please.
found out last night?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is funny because you're here right now, B. But do you remember in our werewolf game that we were playing, the NPC Maria and her website, mariafixtheshit.com?
Yes.
So somebody in the audience for that show made a website, mariafixtheshit.com, for Maria's fake construction business. It has multiple 1-star reviews on it about how she burned their house down, et cetera, et cetera. The person who made that website messaged me last night to say that he got a phone call from somebody asking for a estimate on the job.
It is exclusively 1-star reviews.
Exclusively 1-star reviews.
But like
It's literally called Maria
outlandish
Fix the Shit.
reviews about burning your house down. Like
Yeah,
God.
just so over the top. And he was like, I may have to take the website down. I don't want, this can't continue. It's like, yeah, oh my God.
That's outrageous. Oh my word. I
know.
love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
wow.
Holy heck.
As someone who submitted several reviews, I'm really
Concerned about the
very
person who was
concerned.
going to that company for an estimate. Like, did you explore other avenues?
Any other avenues? Any.
Did you? Were you?
maybe they're looking for someone to sue. Maybe
Honestly,
they're-
I have a feeling it's something
Right.
like maybe like they could like lowball them. So if you've always burned down your houses that you fix, how about I just charge you like or I pay you like $5 on the hour or something?
Right. Like maybe I could like pay this person in sandwiches to do my job. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like maybe their standards are really low.
Ugh.
But yeah, I really loved that, and I was like, there are like only a few people who will enjoy the story, and I was really glad that I was going to be able to talk to you the next day. It was like perfect.
Thank you for reminding me of how much I liked that game also as an audience member.
That was good.
It's really good.
So much fun. And that was a game that I stubbornly didn't want to learn the system, and I didn't. Because I had fun telling an amazing story with other people who kind of do the system better, and with our powers combined, it was wonderful.
And let me tell you a secret.
Uh-huh.
I think that many people would tell me that I was not running that game correctly, and I will tell you that I don't care. I think that it was many perfect things come together, and that's one of them for sure.
Oh gosh, that's so good though.
B, is there anything on your radar that you haven't gotten to play that you're really
Ooh,
itching to
good
play?
A Companion's Tale.
Ooh, I haven't heard about this one yet.
It just got released to Roll20, like on their marketplace. And I have a history with a map drawing game that I love, hate. There's a game called The Silent Year, A Silent Year.
Yes. Okay. Little familiar with that one.
Yeah, I can't play it silently, so I'm a little bitter about it. But the game itself is so much fun. I just am incapable of not talking in a game.
Sure. Yeah.
So Companion's Tale takes some of those mechanics where you're drawing everything that you kind of tell together. But you are the companion to the main hero. And you all, like, you flip cards to role play as the companions that come up, and you come up with details, and then you draw on the board, like, what represents that character, and then you end up with this just, like, chaotic mess of nonsensical drawings. But it's beautiful because it makes sense to you and the story that you all told together. Anybody else looking at it just thinks you're all terrible artists, but you can appreciate that. And I want that. I want to experience that.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that concept a lot. Sleepaway, the beginning of that game is you creating the camp with and there's like a mechanics for the invention of the camp. And I liked that part the best out of the whole game. I liked creating the camp and imagining the history of the camp and deciding like where we were and what used to happen there and et cetera. Like, I think I might like a game that is kind of the focus is that part, and that's not just the beginning of the game.
A Silent Year, honestly, you might enjoy, as long as you all agree to not be silent, and then A Companion's Tale, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I haven't gotten to do any of those collaborative drawing ones, but I think it's very appealing. Like, I think I would be super into it.
Yeah, like it a lot. It's just, it has like it has such a potential to be. It's very funny on its face, like to do that. And then by the end of it, you've like surprisingly gotten attached to this thing that started out funny. And like now all of a sudden you are like invested in this place you created.
Right.
Gnome, who I think we all know Gnome. Yeah, you were playing with him last night and we've done a fundraiser and all that stuff. He wrote a game called Cas1N1 that is... I think it's either a 2-player game or it's intentionally supposed to be 2 to 3 players. It's very small. And the point of it is that you go through the process of collaboratively creating planets and like inventing things about them and then discovering new things about them as you travel and learn about it. But you are just like a drone ship collecting data. You don't ever get to like go there, stay there, live there, move there. At the end, you just take your research and file it away. And that's like the end is that you just, all right, we've learned this and now it's gone. The actual mechanic is you're supposed to burn it, but we but don't recommend burning things unless you're in a safe environment. But it's surprisingly emotional to like create this world and then just say goodbye to it and be like, okay, I'm not, that's it. We just learned.
Wow.
That's the
I
end
love
of that.
and that would break my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Breaks your heart a little bit. It's very beautiful, elegant little game.
On the topic of burning things, there's a game called...
Great.
Yeah. It's minimal. 10 Candles? It's an older game.
Okay. I know that I've heard about it. I know nothing, but that name is ringing a bell.
Well, you all die in the end. That's an absolute.
Great.
So you go into it knowing that you're going to die, but there are 10 candles, and the story that you tell, as you fail along the way, a candle goes out. And I love it until there are no more candles and you are all dead. And it's just like the symbolism of lights going out or burning things, like that just resonates with me really, really well.
Wow.
Do you light literal candles while playing?
I have not had the privilege of playing this online yet. So no, but when I got to play it in person, we just had those cute little electrical ones that you switched on and off, and it wasn't the same, but it was nice.
But still, I
Yeah.
like the physical manifestation of that.
Yeah. It would
Cool.
be very dramatic to snuff
Yeah.
out candles.
Right. And like
In a
when your
game.
character dies, you burn their little sheet because you just write your entire character on a cue card.
Yeah.
And when you die, it dies.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I like that too. That game has been around a while. It's not new. Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised I haven't looked into that yet, but I may have to. Oh, the drama.
In terms of different genres of indie games, so I feel like we've talked about a lot of dramatic stuff, as well as collaborative, maybe creation of the world through these map making ones. Are there any genres that you feel don't get enough hype?
Ooh.
That's a
Interesting.
lovely question. I don't know, because I'm wondering, like, if there are those genres, do I not already pay attention to them?
I feel like if anyone knows, you do. But perhaps.
I mean,
I-
Mecha Robots needs more love.
There you go.
Ooh, very good point.
Because there's just
Yeah.
like Blade Saber, I think it's called, which I haven't played yet, or Beam Saber.
Yeah.
And I can't think of anything else. I just want to be in a giant robot and
Yeah.
fight things in space.
For sure.
Yeah. I feel like every once in a while I see a game that is mecha robot based get released, but I feel like a lot of them tend to be, you know what I'm going to say, like maybe a little bit problematic, or like are fetishizing certain like
Yep.
animes and
Sure.
things like that. And then I just never want to touch them. But I feel like that's the only time I see them coming across my feed is in that kind of a situation.
Unfortunately, yeah, and they're all like inundated with like colonialist views, and it's just like, why
Right.
can't I just want to like hold hands with another giant robot and like punch a planet? Not asking for a lot. So maybe one day.
Yeah, no, that's very exciting. That's a good point. That is one that I'd like to see more of, and I would like to be in as well. I feel like we've talked a lot about non-combat focused drama games, things like that. But I think it can also be said that maybe a genre that once we like really full circle around and come back to are games that aren't D&D but that are still have a combat like based system. Like I think that the game we played, Ross Rifles, is very different and still is a very like combat like focused, or has combat as a centralized mechanic, but it's so different and it still allows you to tell a very interesting and different story alongside the combat and not despite the combat, which is something
Yes.
that we do in D&D is we like, all right, we're telling a story despite the fact that this is supposed to be a combat simulator. but I found that Ross Rifles, I got a little nervous because it being like a combat game, I was like, I wonder if this will be something that's for me. But it turned out that it was. Like, and I think that that's something that I'm opening my mind up to now, is that just because there's a lot of combat doesn't mean it's going to be the same as like a war game experience.
Yes. No, Powered by the Apocalypse does a really good job of giving you the space to be able to be the character, play the moves as if they would, and still, I guess, engage with the world in the ways that you need to. And if that means that you're crawling through mud to get to the other side of the enemy lines and an entire battalion shows up, you just have to react accordingly. And the moves are set up in ways that it facilitates that. But you're still that person prone on the ground trying to do their thing. So like combat and story is really, really nicely welded together.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Other Powered by the Apocalypse games do a really good job of that. This is not indie. I think it's popular, but Masks, I've never played it.
I hear about it a lot, but I've not
Everybody
played it.
talks about it, and I'm sure it's
Everybody loves
wonderful.
Masks.
I
Yeah.
haven't dipped my feet in there, and that's fine.
I haven't either.
Because like it's superheroes, and that's super cool. But you also tell stories about, I think it's like a coming of age kind of story,
Yeah.
and I think that's wonderful. Zombie World another Powered by the Apocalypse game. It uses cards instead of dice, which is really neat. But again, you're in a world of zombies. You have to survive. You have to fight to live, but the focus is on the survival. Fighting is just so you can survive, but it's more emotional than that.
Right, of course. Well, that makes sense for a zombie story for sure. That I haven't realized now how many indie games are running on the Powered by the Apocalypse system. I think that I don't know why I didn't put that together.
So many. Thirsty Sword Lesbians, which is an amazing game. That you just get to be gay and have fun, and then occasionally stab your enemies.
Perfect. What could be better than that? We're actually, I haven't played that yet, but Avalon and I were just talking about playing that for the first time. So I think we're going to do that soon. I am like so excited that game exists and very excited to try it. This has been so enlightening. Like, I feel like there's just so many, I feel like, that we could probably keep rattling off and find ones that all three of us have never heard of, and like it's just so big. And I think that I think what you said earlier, the more people that you get involved with and invested in the like success of others, like the more beautiful things like get thrust into the world. And like it's just so cool. There's so much out there. I was I also make content on TikTok sometimes, not as much anymore. And the other day it occurred to me that I was like, why do I never see other games besides D&D on TikTok? Like on my Twitter feed is just barely any D&D anymore. It's like tons of other RPGs. But when I open up TikTok, it's just D&D, content here all over the place. And so I made a video and I was just like, where are you? What's going on? And it's beautiful because just by making that and being like, where are you? Like, they were just like, oh, we're right here.
Oh, nice.
and changed my feed just by interacting with me. And like now, like more stuff is starting to come up there from people playing different systems and dressing up as different kinds of characters and things like that. And it's just sometimes until you start engaging with it, you don't know it's there, and you just opening up to it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. That's like, it almost sounds like a barrier to entry. Not the best word, but I want more to indie stuff out into the universe so it can become normal. I want everybody to play all the cool games that isn't D&D.
Yeah.
I think that's valid. I think there are a lot of people running home games that would probably enjoy and connect with a lot of these so much more so, but I don't know where you would discover it if you're not investing a bit of time in engaging with communities and connecting, which is not what everybody's in it for, right? People just want to, sometimes people just want to play games at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the TV off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like, like my home game is very much D&D, but like as they get more into it, like they're doing things that are surprising them because, these guys are a bunch of, gym boys who, I went into this game thinking it was going to be fun combat and now are, stressed out about their long lost fathers and things like that. So, like they have become more invested in story than I think they knew they would be. Mm-hmm. So one of these days, I'm gonna just slip in another system under their noses. And another thing I thought was very cool. My old gaming store, from when I lived in Astoria, never had anything other than D&D in it ever. D&D and Warhammer, those were the games that you could go, and Magic the Gathering.
Some Pathfinder if you're lucky.
Maybe some Pathfinder, yes. They posted on Instagram that they got a shipment of Alice's Missing in. I think that is like such a neato little sign of a little bit of a change,
It's
which
growth.
I think is very cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
We're getting there. Alice is Missing was marketed really well.
Yeah.
Hunters Entertainment and Renegade Games. Yeah. They
Yes.
did a wonderful job, like those companies.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah,
I don't know,
agree.
just most indie games don't have the budget for
They
marketing.
don't. Yeah.
Right. It's not their fault. There's just, where do you find
Yeah.
that money? It's so expensive.
That and the tabletop industry is a really small industry, and I forget that often. Like, I think D&D is the only system that will ever make money. And then if you want to make money running games, it's Critical Role or nothing. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's not easy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Aw. But, because I don't want to end on a sad note,
Happy
we
notes.
can change that.
Yes.
Because the more people that play the indie games, that means more people will buy them and more people will watch them. And then those things will be different in the future.
One more happy fact. The year 2020, so last year, on Twitch, the tabletop category had more views and more channels than the Dungeons and Dragons category.
Stop.
Right?
That's awesome.
So it's not a big
That's-
growth. It was only by
Yeah.
like 6,000 or something. But still, they're...
Well, considering the D&D category includes Critical Role, I think that's a big deal.
Yeah. There's a whole world out there that, like, I don't engage with a lot, and I'm looking into how to do it. And, like, tabletop games are huge in
Yeah.
other countries as well. Where do they speak Portuguese? Wherever that is,
Portugal
they're killing
and
out
Brazil.
tabletops. Thank you.
Portugal and
it's in the name.
Yes.
Yeah. Funny story. Not long ago, somebody sent me a clip from a Portuguese D&D actual play that had a GIF of me in the corner of their layout. Just going off. And I was like, I don't know what they're saying. I hope they're not making fun of me. It seems like they're just playing their game. But there I
That's
am.
wonderful.
It's just like GIF of me drinking a potion bottle. It's like, okay, all right, good. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so we're getting there. We're getting bigger.
Yeah.
You know,
We
tabletop,
are.
it's growing.
I love that. Thank you for telling us that, because that's actually like, that's a big deal. Oh, all right. Well, Bea, what are you doing after this?
In real life or in general?
In real life, we like to say what we're going to do with the rest of our days.
I like that. Well, I have a stream right after to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
That feels right. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that feels very right. That's fantastic. I am gonna have a short break for some lunch and Stardew Valley, but then I have to start getting set up for City of Mist tonight. I'm very
Yes.
excited about that, and there will not be any technical difficulties this time. I have fixed the internet and my computer, and it will not happen. I'm manifesting
Put that
Yes.
into the universe. Yes.
Yes.
I am also manifesting that for you.
Thank you very much. Avalon, what about you?
You know what? I say the same thing every time. And then every time I'm like, oh, why did I say that? But like, I always by this point really have to pee. And that's all I can think about.
It's because you drank so much tea.
Because I drank so much tea. And
Yeah.
then after that, I don't know. I'm just having a chill day at home.
Oh, that's nice. That's good. Everybody deserves a good chill day of not that much every once in a while.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, B, do you have anything to plug? Anything cool coming up?
Yes and no. I do so much.
It seems like it, yeah.
I will. So you can follow me on Twitter is at B_Zelda. Non-binary Canadian podcaster. I'm a member of the Broadswords. We put out episodes every other Monday. It's D&D. We mostly don't roll dice though. Actually, I think this third season we might have rolled the most dice that we ever have. And it's good, but it's a lot of dice rolling. So
Yeah.
honestly, I stream every day of the week except Thursdays. So just follow me on anything that I stream on, just anything. It's Dungeons and Dragons, it's Bears in Space, sometimes I
Yes.
play 100,000 bugs in the shape of a wallaby. Other times Right. Other times I am a robot, sentient alien who collects plants. You know, it's just I'm a little bit of everywhere.
Yeah. Would you say that your Twitter is like the best way if I wanted our listeners to keep up with the most current things that you're doing? Twitter is the best
Absolutely,
way, right?
yeah. If you want to follow me on
Okay.
Instagram, it's mostly dog pictures and selfies.
Those are also good.
No, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, very good.
And if we had a listener who wanted to try an indie TTRPG, can you give them 3 options for their first one to try?
Ooh.
Are they familiar with tabletop games in general?
They've played some D&D. They're like lukewarm on it.
Kids on Bikes, I think, is super easy. The character creation, very, very smooth. My heart wants to say Alice is Missing, but there's a bit of like, it's overwhelming.
It is a lot. Yeah, for sure.
But it's so much fun once you get into it.
Yeah.
And then I would say a PBTA game. There's so many to choose from. Does this person like horror?
Light horror, maybe.
Okay, no Bluebeard's Bride.
Ooh, okay.
So just more games, so many good games. Honestly,
I love this.
Passion de las Pasiones.
Yes,
You
there you go.
cannot
Yeah,
go
there you
wrong.
go. Good.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. All right. Have a good day, everyone. Avalon, go pee. You're free.
Always. That's always the only answer I have.
And thank you again, B, for just gracing our podcast with your presence. This was very lovely.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yay.
You're welcome. All right. Bye.
Bye.
You can find all of our Femsplained content either on patreon.com/Femsplained, Twitter, you can find us at FemsplainedCast, Instagram, you can find us at Femsplained Podcast, and you can check out superdylan.com/Femsplained to find the guest form and all of the different places where you can listen and connect with us.
Awesome. You can find and follow me, Avalon, at @_catattack on both Twitter and Twitch.
And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, and all the places at SuperDylan, and that is DILLIN.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your support. Bye.
Bye.